In this video, I'm going to concentrate on the patterns of the present tense. Later on, I shall show you some tricks I like to use which can be applied to regular verbs, regular sounding verbs with spelling changes to maintain certain sounds, and even some irregular verbs, or at least some of their forms. Many verbs in general consist of three parts. We can take the verb informare and split it into three. The inform part, which conveys the meaning of informing someone. We have a vowel, which is A, E or I, that tells us to which category the verb belongs. Are, ere or ire verbs. I suggest you check on the position of stress of ere verbs, as sometimes it is on the ending, like in potere, or not, such as vendere. The re part at the end shows us that the verb is unchanged, called the infinitive. It is like a to form in English, to go, to sleep, to write, etc. We can often remove the last three letters to leave just the meaning part and then append endings. We shall start with three of the easiest forms. We can take mettere, which can mean to put, amongst other meanings. The last three letters are removed and we append o to give us metto, which can mean I put. We can do the same to comprare, which means to buy, and change it to compro, I buy. Notice that the stress, which is a lengthened syllable, is on the penultimate syllable for most of the forms that I'm going to show you. The familiar version of the U form is made by appending the letter I. We can take cercare, to search, and change it to cerchi, you search. That's one of those regular sounding verbs I mentioned earlier, which needs a slight spelling change to maintain the sound of k, but in speech you do not need to concern yourself with such matters. Another example is considerare, consideri. The we form is made by appending iamo after taking off those last three letters. We can change esaminare to esaminiamo, which means we examine, or partire to partiamo, which can mean we depart. The he, she, polite you form is a little more complicated. If the verb is an are verb, we append a, otherwise we append e. Mangiare is an are verb, so we use a to give us mangia, which can mean he, she or you eat. I do the same with lanciare to give us lancia, which can mean he, she or you throw. Includere is not an are verb, so we use e and change it to include. The same is done to conseguire to give us consegue. The they form does not have the stress on the penultimate syllable. What I like to do is take the word ending in a for are verbs, say the word without changing it, and append a no on the end. For the others, I take the word ending in o and do the same. Perdonare is an are verb, so I say perdona and append no to give us perdonano. The verb preferire is not an are verb, so I use preferisco and do the same, giving us preferiscono. This works for regular verbs and quite a few irregular verbs, so I'm going to concentrate on those a little more. This technique is quite easy to do in speech. So, for are verbs, I take the word ending in a, which is the he, she, you form, and append a no. Mangiare is an are verb, so I take mangia and change it to mangiano, which can mean they eat. I do the same with informare, using informa and change it to informano. For many verbs which are not are verbs, we use the word ending in o, which is the I form. Potere has an irregular form, posso, which can mean I can. Although you have to learn this word by rote, the trick still works. I use it to make the word possono, which means they can. Bere is quite irregular. I use bevo, meaning I drink, and change it to bevono, meaning they drink. From decidere, we have decido, which changes to decidono. Dovere has two irregular forms, the more common devo, as in quanto le devo, which means how much do I owe you, and debbo. But this technique still works with either one, so I can use either devono or debbono. The you all form is quite easy, which is either a polite or familiar form of address. I think of the unchanged verb called the infinitive and just change the R to a T and put the stress on the penultimate syllable. For example, I change andare to andate, which can mean you all go, amongst other meanings. I change vendere, which is one of those ere verbs with a stress on an unusual place, but I can still change it to vendete. I change venire to venite. This technique doesn't quite work with every single verb like porre, ponete, or bere, bevete, but it does work with most of them. There's one final point I wish to mention. There are some ire verbs that require the insertion of isc and some do not. Using finire as an example, we have finisco, which still ends in an o as expected, but it needs isc in the singular forms. The others are finisci and finisce. I can still make the they form by changing finisco to finiscono. The we form is as you would expect, finiamo, and I can make the you all form by changing finire into finite. That's it for another video. I hope this has helped you with learning the conjugations by helping you remember the forms which do follow these patterns. This means that you have less to remember, leaving exceptions to the rule to memorize, which are often within the most commonly used verbs. Thank you for watching.